welcome to my video. My name is Nitan Avivi, and today I want to talk to you about Refractor Zyggy. You might remember me from a video I made about Refractor Enigma way back when. I want to point out that when I made that video, I already had months of experience with the deck. We knew what the meta was, and those things are not true for Zyggy right now. I've played Zyggy a little bit on Talishar. We don't know how he and the other Omens heroes are going to change the meta. The set is coming out tomorrow. But I think I still figured out some cool playlines with this deck, some good reasons to play Refractor in the deck, and I want to share that and talk about that. So let's go. First thing I want to talk about is why not Aphrodias, however you want to say it. And I just don't think it's very good. Like, just looking at the numbers of what it can do, I'm like, why am I jumping through all these hoops? If you have a lightning flow and you have the blue, I think the best use for that lightning flow is Corrosive Space Dust. If we do the math, we see that if you play it, use Zyggy ability, you have an extra resource from either Starplate or Tunic, then you can get 4 ward, 2 pings of 1 arcane, and you get to attack with Aphrodias, and that comes out to a total of 8 value at instant speed from this Corrosive Space Dust, which is great. A couple problems with that. One is that the flow isn't free unless you have the gem, which this deck does run the gem, but I mean that's 1 time per deck cycle that we get to do that for free. The other way to make flow are fine, nothing crazy. And so if we value the flow as, like, let's say costing 1 value to create, then all of a sudden Corrosive Space Dust is a 2-card 7 instant speed, right? We're subtracting the flow value, which is already a lot less exciting. The second problem is Corrosive Space Dust seems to be like the only good one, in my opinion. Auric Shards is the same numbers, but it only works on our own turn. We have to be attacking with a fragment attack when we play it, when we flicker it. That also makes Starplate more awkward. We're not playing it on our opponent's turn. We don't get that extra resource. That deck might be good. I'm just not really interested in building it. Because of all of that, my version of the deck is actually just trying to make 1 lightning flow at some point over the course of the game, and that's it, and we're happy with that, and I'll talk about why when we get to that step in the video. So Reality Refractor has a lot of nice efficient lines that don't require any lightning flow. They just kind of work on their own, and the key one is basically these 1-cost auras like Elliptical Conflux. These auras, there's a cycle. This one makes Embodiment of Lightning. There's one that makes a Ponder, one that makes a Lightning Flow. They all have wards 2, and they all cost 1. So if we pay 1 for this, and then 2 for the attack with Reality Refractor, that's a 2-card 7, with some extra value depending on which token it makes, which is great. We have auras like Nourishing Glow, that just are 2 value on their own, and then again, 5 damage when we attack with them. So again, 2-card 7. No extra value from a token, but there's 0 cost, which we'll talk about more later. If we ever get to hold on to any of these auras for another turn cycle, if the opponent doesn't attack us for enough to destroy them, then we get to attack with them again. And then that's a 1-card 5. We pitch 2, we attack for 5, which is above rate. Most of these auras pitch into each other. So the 0-cost auras, we pay 2 to attack with them. So the yellow ones work as a pitch outlet. The yellow ones cost 1, and then we can pitch a blue to attack with those. The yellow ones don't work with each other, unfortunately, but that's the only part that doesn't work here. And then I do want to shout out specifically Fleeing Starbreeze. If we play something like Nourishing Glow, attack with it, give it go again with Fleeing Starbreeze, attack with that. That's a total of 4 resources, all spent to attack with the 2 auras. So if we have a blue plus Tunic, that's a 3-card 13, which is really good. Fleeing Starbreeze, I think, is the best aura in the deck. Either that or Elliptical Conflux. What we're trying to do is not those 2-card 7s that I talked about. There's a lot of lines that make Embodiment of Lightnings about 3 to 4 value, mostly stuff with Gone in a Flash. So for example, if we already have an Embodiment set up, we attack with Gone in a Flash. we play, let's say, Elliptical Conflux, I think is the best one for this line. Bounce Gone back to hand, and then attack with Elliptical Conflux. That's a total of 11 value, 9 damage and 2 ward. The reason Elliptical Conflux is the best one here is it kind of refreshes the embodiment, so we can do that again next turn. But this kind of line works with any of our instant auras if we already have an embodiment of lightning. Something nice about these embodiments is they are not used up by weapon attacks, which means if I already have an embodiment set up, and let's say I didn't draw Gone in a Flash yet, I can play another aura, attack with that aura, and still hold on to that embodiment for when I do have Gone in a Flash, or one of the other things that combos with embodiments. So with that, let's talk about the auras. The auras are kind of the key to the deck. 2 big categories. One is the 0-cost auras. I have them all in the top row here. The advantage of the 0-cost auras is they all can attack with a yellow pitch. So 0 cost plus 2 to attack because of Refractor, so yellow pitch is fine. It also means they combo better with Go Again and Tunic, because it's a 2 cost plus another 2 cost like I talked about earlier. Combos nicely with 1 cost attack actions with an embodiment, do the 1 cost attack action, then attack with the aura for 2, total of 3 resources, that's great. Again, Fling Star Breeze I think is the best, just because it gives Go Again. Restless Coalescence is mostly just ward 2. We do play Shimmers in the sideboard, but that's the only way we have of making +1 tokens. So for the most part, it's just a ward 2 0 cost. Stardust Spike is also pretty interesting. If we're not going to use the amp. This deck, I mean, we could technically, but probably not. If we get to use that resource for AB or to activate Footsteps, then Stardust Spike is 3 defensive value, which is better than all of these other 0-cost auras. I should say I'm not playing it in the current version of the deck just because I'm worried about it being a red and not working with the other things in my hand. But definitely an option. The only 0-cost I didn't mention here is Crackle from Afar. That's the one that gives +1 to an attack. It doesn't work with Gone in a Flash, the same way that Fleeing Starbreeze doesn't work with Gone in a Flash, which is why I'm not including it. But if you want another 0-cost blue aura, that's, I think, the only one left, actually. We also have some 1-cost auras, like I said, pitching a blue, you get a 2-card 7. They are better as individual plays, not comboing with anything else, or specifically comboing with Gone in a Flash, because you get that extra token. Elliptical Conflux, you get an embodiment. The other 2, you get a Ponder or a Lightning Flow. Like I said, we do want 1 Lightning Flow at some point over the game. But for the most part, I think the Ponder one is better. Only problem is it kind of has counter synergy with Gone in a Flash, because if we play Gone in a Flash, get the Ponder, then we want to Arsenal Gone in a Flash, like that can be awkward. We do get the Ponder the next turn, which helps with that, but I think still a little bit iffy. We'll see if that's actually better than Circular Flow Tide. Not sure just now. We also play some other instants. Sigil of Lightning, I think, is probably the best one. All of these work nicely with Gone in a Flash, especially when it doesn't have Go Again. I guess except Cosmic Flare. We'll get to that in a minute. But if I play Gone in a Flash, play Sigil of Solace, bounce it back to hand, Arsenal it, that's a 1-card 7. Play Gone in a Flash without Go Again, play Sigil of Lightning, Arsenal it, I got a 1-card 4, and then also I get an embodiment to combo with the Gone in a Flash next turn. Starlight Road and Blink are kind of variations on Sigil of Lightning. Blink gives you the action point right away. Starlight Road gives it next turn. I think one or the other will be better at different spots. We'll see. And then Cosmic Flare works really nicely with Gone in a Flash with Go Again. You can play Gone in a Flash with Go Again, get 3 resources, and then do something else with those 3 resources, like maybe Phantasmaclasm. But the biggest thing it does is it works really nicely on our big combo turns. If we've activated Greaves, Cosmic Flare is 3 resources and an action point, and it bounces Gone back to our hand. So really, really good with Greaves and Gone in a Flash. The deck kind of has 2 modes First mode is if we don't already have an embodiment set up, what are we doing with our turn? We can play Phantasmaclasm, 2-card 9, can't complain. I think the best fragment attack is Scattering Conflux. It makes Embodiment of Lightnings when it fragments, which I think are really good. Again, 3 to 4 value, so I think the opponent generally should just not block it. I'm actually not playing Scattering Conflux right now just because I think a 2-card 7 is not exactly what we want to be doing. Elliptical Conflux is a 1-card 7, and it makes an Embodiment of Lightning, right? Scattering Conflux is a 2-card 7, or it's a 2-card 5 that makes an Embodiment of Lightning. So, didn't quite make the cut. We can play Elliptical Conflux when we don't already have an embodiment, or one of the other 1-cost auras or 0-cost auras. Ideally 1-cost, so we get that token, get some extra value there. And then the last thing we can do without an embodiment, last thing we want to be doing without an embodiment, is Miraging Metamorph. With Tunic, it's a 1-card 7. It's really good. If we do have embodiments, there are some sweet lines we can do. We talked about Gone in a Flash already. Does not work with Fleeing Starbreeze. I think I mentioned that already. Fleeing Starbreeze gives Go Again when it enters play, and Gone in a Flash bounces back to hand when you play the instant. So the play trigger always happens before the enters play. So you can choose not to bounce Gone in a Flash to hand and give it the Go Again, but you can't do both. If you want to bounce it to hand, you cannot give it Go Again with Fleeing Starbreeze, or vice versa. You'll have to figure out when one or the other is better. Ideally, we're just playing Fleeing Starbreeze to combo with other things. That's kind of its main mode. The other big thing you can do with an embodiment is you can play Phantasmal Symbiosis, pitching a blue, and then we can name Lightning Flow with it. If we name Lightning Flow with it, then Lightning Flow is now an Illusionist aura, which means we can pay 2 to attack with it for 5. Symbiosis has Go Again because we have the embodiment, so that's a 2-card 11. It's really good. I'm really excited to do that line. Last thing we can do with embodiments is just play multiple attack actions together. Most efficient is probably a 1-cost into a 2-cost. Something like Miraging into CNC is a 3-card 13. You can do 2 costs together, or a 2-cost in an aura if you have Tunic. Something I want to point out about all of these is if we take these lines and we add 1 to the number of cards spent to make that line, if we're assuming it cost us a whole card to make an embodiment of lightning, it's still fine. Like, it's not great, but it's fine. A 3-card 11 is above rate. A 4-card 13 is on rate. And we are hoping to make these embodiments of lightning more efficiently than that. Again, Gone in a Flash Sigil of Lightning makes the embodiment of lightning basically for the cost of 0 cards. So this is what we're hoping to do with those embodiments of lightning. Last kind of key play line that we should talk about is just like, what does Gone in a Flash combo look like in this deck? This is the best one that I found. It does require Energy Potion, and it requires Channel Thunderstep to be set up from the previous turn, and it requires an Embodiment of Lightning to be set up from the previous turn. But I should point out, you can basically do this whole combo with just, I think it comes out to 1 less Refractor Swing if you have Tunic but you don't have Epot, which is still really good damage, comes out to 32. But if we do have all of those things, we can play Gone in a Flash. It has Go Again, thanks to the embodiment. We have 1 resource floating because we activated Epot and then Lightning Greaves, so still 1 left over. Cosmic Flare gives us an action point and some resources. We play Phantasmal Symbiosis, naming Lightning Flow, which we're assuming we have 3 of those already set up. We do give it Go Again with Channel Thunderstep, so for 2 resources and no action points, we play this. Play the Gone in a Flash again, pay to give it Go Again with Channel Thunderstep. Play Cosmic Flare to bounce it back to hand, get more action point and resources. Gone in a Flash again with Go Again from Channel Thunderstep. Again, Cosmic Flare to bounce it back to hand, get another action point. Then Gone in a Flash one last time, not paying to give it Go Again, which leaves us with 3 action points and 6 resources, which is exactly enough for 3 Refractor Swings. Altogether, it comes out to 37 damage, which should be enough to win most games. So, now that we talked about all that, let's talk about the actual deck list that I'm using, starting with the equipment. First things first, Refractor, obviously, already talked about it a bunch. Tunic, I think, is just better than the alternatives. Starplate is not particularly good in this build. We don't play a lot of lightning instants that we want to play on our opponent's turn. Calming Gesture is pretty sweet. It's a 2-card 6. We make a Spectral, and then we attack with that Spectral for 5 damage. So 5 damage, 1 ward, 6 value total, once per game from our gloves. Also has AB on it, which is good for not having to do that in any of our other equipment slots. Both of these boots options seem great. I've mostly been using Footsteps as Rampart. You pay a resource and it blocks for 1. I've been playing a lot against the new Aurora because that's what people are playing on the future Classic Constructed queue in Talishar. So it's been very relevant there to block their weapon. Lightning Greaves is very good for the combo turns, but I think also probably will just end up being the main leg piece just for like combos that are not that exciting, like play Gone in a Flash without an embodiment, activate Lightning Greaves, play an instant to get that action point, attack with that instant aura. So in that situation, Lightning Greaves just converted 1 resource to 1 action point. And I think that's going to be totally fine. I think of it like Mage Master Boots, except it blocked 1 before it did the thing. I think that's probably just going to be good enough in a lot of matchups where Phantasmal Footsteps might not be that important. You might have noticed on that first light I didn't have any headpiece. I am not particularly excited about any of the headpiece options we have. Kind of the obvious one is Flash of Brilliance. There's a really nice thing you can do with Essence of Ancestry Body, where if you have that on the board and you block with Flash of Brilliance, you can discard a lightning card to bounce Essence of Ancestry. Then that just fully prevents the next red damage source that your opponent has. The problem with that is then you are left with this Essence of Ancestry in hand, which is a red that doesn't have go again. The best use of it is you play it on its own, right? You spend 1 card to prevent ideally 5 to 6 damage from your opponent. And if you did this whole Flash of Brilliance thing, you probably can't block with it either on the same turn because you hopefully blanked their whole turn with this headpiece. So I don't know about that one. We'll see if it works out the way we want it to. That's kind of going to depend on what our opponent is doing. The other main use of Flash of Brilliance, in my opinion, is just to bounce Sigil of Lightning. Lets us trade a card from hand for an embodiment, which is great, right? If we're valuing an embodiment as about 1 card's worth of value, having that utility from our headpiece is totally fine. However, I've just been using Skullcap, which has been great just for the extra block, protecting our auras multiple times. Crown of Providence might also be really good. We Arsenal Gone in a Flash a lot, and being able to protect it with hands that just don't have 3 blocks, I think is going to be important. So Crown of Providence might end up being the main headpiece. We also play Iris of Reality for the more defensive fatigue matchups. We'll see if that's necessary. Again, the Gone combo we can do is over 30 damage. Do we still need another equipment piece to help with that? We could cut that, put Epod in the deck, be able to do 37 damage. We'll see what's better. And then lastly, I have just another piece of AB, so I can get all the way up to 3 or 6 with Skullcap. Again, totally going to depend on the meta whether or not that's actually useful or necessary. With that, now that we're done with equipment, let's talk about the cards in deck. Starting with Gone in a Flash. Again, kind of the core of the deck. I think I've talked enough about it. Volatile Fluxer, I think, is really sweet. It's a head jab that blocks 3. It makes that first lightning flow that we need for Symbiosis, assuming it hits. I've definitely had lines where I attack with it and opponent blocks it, and I just don't have to play the instant, right? I don't have to play an instant to give it +3 because it already is blocked for 3. And that's definitely something, a nice little mode that it has. Flow State Embodiment is kind of interesting. It lets us kind of cycle through embodiments. So you can play it with an embodiment, so it has go again, play an instant while it is the active chain link, and then make a new embodiment. And then if that instant is an aura, you can attack with that aura on the same turn, which does not use up the embodiment, because weapons don't use up the embodiments. So we kind of get to cycle that embodiment into next turn by playing Flow State Embodiment. Also another way to create that first Lightning Flow token that we need for Symbiosis. Here are all the not zero cost attack actions that are not just blues. Phantasmaclasm is just really good. CNC is just good. And then we have some one cost attack actions. These work very nicely with embodiments. So we can do that plus zero cost aura. And with Symbiosis, we don't even need to already control an aura. We can just control a lightning flow and name that. And then it's just a clean 2-card 11. We don't even have to summon an aura on that same turn if we have an embodiment. Both of those also just work nicely with Tunic. Tunic, play that out. That is an above rate 1-card play. We have some auras. We have some instant auras. 0 cost at the top, 1 cost on the bottom. Again, Fling Starbreeze is probably the best one. The other 0 costs are just like 2 ward value is how I'm looking at it. And then the 1 cost, again, Elliptical Conflux is really good. And then the other 1 costs are fine. I'm playing one of this Ponder one. We'll see if that sticks around. It's just awkward that there are no blocks. So we'll see if we actually want to play this many of them. Here are some other cards in the deck that I didn't have a good place to fit. So Sigil of Lightning, combos with God in a Flash. We play it, we bounce it back, makes an embodiment, which does all the awesome stuff. Also works really nicely with Volatile Fluxer. Shimmering Spectre is pretty cool. We're assuming it's not going to be popped by the Mirage. You should board it out in matchups where it'll probably be destroyed by the Mirage ability. But assuming we block 2 with it, we get 1 ward from the Spectral later on, and then we also get to attack with it for 5 on our own turn. So that's a 2-card 8. That's a pretty good blue, I think, a 2-card 8. We can even pitch a yellow to attack. We don't even need another blue. Voltaris, again, just mostly there for the Symbiosis combo. We'll see if it's worth playing another no block there. Might be better if you just play another aura, like just another 0 cost aura. So we can do that instead. We'll see. I think it's probably worth because it gives us the flow for free. But yeah. Okay, other blues, mostly just 3 blocks. The one exception is Overcrowded, which technically blocks 2, but as soon as we have 1 lightning flow, it blocks 3. If we have a lightning flow and an embodiment, now it blocks 4, and it blocks from Arsenal. That seems pretty good to me. Might be worth going up to 3. The rest of them have different utility. So we have some Go again with the Ebbing Arcstride and Spears of Surreality. Clear Conscience is decent disruption. We can probably empty our hand and then attack with it to force a card out of our opponent's hand. And then we also get a Ponder. So then we can arsenal that card we drew. And then Cosmic Duality is another way to make flow, which might be important in some spots. It's technically an extender. If we ever have 1 floating, we can use that. I think probably we need more 3-block blues. I've just been finding that I want to block more and kind of hold on to my resources, hold on to my life total. But, I mean, you've seen the other cards in the deck. What do we cut to fit in those extra blues? We'll see how the deck evolves. With all that, we have 49 cards main deck, which brings us to the sideboard. 2 sideboard plans. First one is this defensive plan. 3 sinks, 3 shelters, just 0 for 4 D-reacts. Shelter is really nice for stopping multiple breakpoints to protect our auras, to be able to do that 1 card 5 probably. Sink is really nice for bottoming no blocks on turns where we really need to block more. Essence of Ancestry Body, if we're assuming we get 2 ward, and then it blocks the next red thing, which let's say it's a 0 for 3 go again, that's 5 value. That's really good for just 1 card in our action point. And then Sigil is to combo with Gone in a Flash, attack for 4, gain 3, put Gone back in our arsenal. That's definitely enough value to win games in the aggro mirror. Just a 1 card 7, basically. Really good. The other sideboard plan is for the more defensive fatiguing matchups. We got all these Spectra auras. I think Haze Bendings are going to be really nice to play all together. Thanks to Channel Thunderstep, we can play multiple of those on the same turn. Shimmers of Silver does combo with Restless Coalescence, but I mean, that's not really the main reason it's there. We probably play those with Iris of Reality. If we play like 2 Haze Bendings, they destroy one of them, we have 2 Spectrals. Now we can do 4/4/4 immediately, and that's going to be really good for closing games, I think. Cosmic Flare is for the combo potential with Gone in a Flash and Lightning Greaves. Also, probably just some good value lines with Gone in a Flash, do other things on the same turn. We'll see. We'll see how the deck plays out. But that is it. That is all I have to say for now about the deck. Again, my name is Nitan Avivi. If you want to check out our other videos here on Inline Mic, feel free to do so. We don't post a lot, but if I make any more updates to this deck, it'll be on this channel. You can find me in Discord if you have any questions about this deck or anything else Flesh and Blood. I love this game. I love talking about it. Feel free to reach out. I am in Purple Discord, but I think also you can just search up my username. Anyway, that is all for today. Thank you all for watching.